So why don't we go ahead and get started? Actually, I have to explain why I'm in a different place. So I'll talk about that a little bit more, but I'm actually in Boston this evening. And so I'm doing this sit much later than I do back in Durango. But um, yeah, it's a gift to be able to use technology and be able to do this from anywhere. So let's go ahead and get started. You can just get comfortable and just close your eyes if that feels good to you. And if you don't like to close your eyes, just look really softly at the floor in front of you, not looking at anything in particular. And that way you just don't get stimulated into a lot of thinking. And so just taking a few breaths and letting yourself arrive. And just notice how it is right here in your mind, body, and heart today. For this sit, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a sit of allowing tonight. And so just ask you to begin with your feet and just noticing how your feet are this evening. They might be relaxed and open, or they may feel more tight or restless. And I'm just going to invite you to whatever you notice to simply have an attitude of allowing. It's like, oh, it's like this. And make space for whatever's here. Allowing your feet to be tight, allowing them to be open and relaxed. These conditions always change. And making sure that you include your ankles, your toes. You want to wiggle them a little bit just to feel your feet. You can do that. But again, just allowing. Making space for. And then checking in with your legs, your calves and shins. Again, whatever you find here, allowing them to be just as they are. No need to fight what's here. And including your knees. They may be strong and healthy, or they may be compromised in some way, or achy. And just making space for just as they are. In fact, having a gentle attitude. And including your thighs. Noticing the muscles and bones here. And again, allowing. And notice what happens when you allow your legs to be just as they are, your feet to be just as they are. making space for what's here. You may notice that they soften a little, or if there's some pain, that there's not as much pain. Or just being without any contention or fighting it. And moving up into your hips and your pelvic floor, just allowing what's here. Noticing your seat on your cushion or on the floor. Allowing what's here. And just knowing that however your body is, there's a good reason for this. And so we accept, we allow. We don't want to fight with it. That just adds more pain. And again, just noticing what happens when we bring a gentle attitude. A relaxed attitude. And moving up into your torso. Just noticing how your torso is, the front of your body, the back, sides. And again, just gently allowing what's here. Making space for how your torso, how your body is right now. Making space for tightness or bracing. Making space for pain. Or illness. Simply allowing. Conditions are such, it's just like this today. It won't always be like this. And taking a moment to include your organs, just making space for how they are today. They may be open and relaxed, or tight, stressed, or bracing. And just bringing a gentle, spacious attitude towards them. Making space to allow. And moving up to your shoulders and your arms. Allowing this. These sensations. It may be light or heavy. And including your hands. Allowing for this experience. And again, just noticing what happens to these sensations when you simply allow them. Make space. And including your neck now, your throat. Noticing what's here. And just being aware with a gentle attitude. and including your head, the back of your head, allowing that. Noticing sensations at the top of your head. And making space for that. And including your ears, and your face. And you don't have to do anything with your face, just notice how it is by itself. And just making a gentle, accepting space for it. There's a good reason your face is like this today. May feel relaxed or tight. Whatever you find is okay. And so just taking a moment to just allow your whole body to be the way it is. And allow for all of it. Today it's like this. Noticing what that allowing attitude brings. What happens to the body when it's allowed to be how it is, just in this moment. And then finally, just allow yourself to be the one who is allowing, the one who's been watching and allowing. You can just gently breathe into this. Connecting with this part of yourself. And just noticing the energy of the one who allows. Perhaps it's restful or peaceful, at ease. Okay with the way things are. We're just touching into another doorway for our essence. So when you're ready, you can just gently open your eyes and you can just let yourself have seeing, but don't think. Just being the one who allows. And just notice color and shape. Just allow color and shape. No need to think and get busy. And just notice what that's like. Allowing, relaxing, just noticing. Mm. So, this evening we don't have a bell. So I'll just invite you to come back to your sitting position and gently take your seat. So, um, we talked about in May that we would explore essence from different angles and different doorways of opening it. And also to look at the freedom that's possible when we're anchored in essence, when we begin to live from essence, see the world from this deeper part of ourselves. The freedom is quite beautiful and feels awesome. And I also want to say that, as we've talked about with the release work, that the more we release and the more that we have this foundation in our own essential nature, the deeper we're held. And so I just want to share an experience that happened with me this week. And I was so glad that I had this practice. I was so glad that I had my practice and release practice and that I know about essence. So I was headed down to Phoenix. I was in the middle of an 8-hour drive, almost about 3/4 of the way through, going down to see Mark's family. And 3/4 of the way through, I got a call from Boston that my dad, who had had surgery on Monday, was not doing well and that he didn't look so good. And so I got to Phoenix, and then the story was he might be septic, which is not good because he's like almost 87. And there was all this pressure of, what to do. And finally, I got a call saying, could you please come? And so it was like driving 8 hours to Phoenix and then finding an airline ticket to Boston last minute and getting to Boston. And luckily, as I was kind of in transit, it came back that my dad was not septic, but he still was having a really hard time. And so I arrived in Boston after this 8-hour drive to Phoenix and jet lagged and the whole thing, and then jumping into this medical piece with my family and all the stress that goes with that, right? All the stress that goes with a stressed out family. And what became really clear to me was how calm I was staying in the middle of all of it. Like that I really had a seat, and I could attribute that to the work that I do with Essence and the release work. And I also could also see that one of the things that's really true about the world is that we come to rely on external support. Like we look for our comfort and our space and our meditation time and our favorite cookies and all kinds of things that bring us comfort. And I was in this moment where all of that was gone. I live in Colorado in a small town, and here I was in Boston, and there was noise and people yelling. In fact, I'll just tell you the story. When I came out of the airport, it was like midnight on Sunday night, and there must have been 500 cars, and there were all these Boston traffic directors out there. And I walked outside and I heard people screaming, like, move your car, move your car, and people yelling at each other. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm in Boston. And I looked over and there were these two girls about 20 years old with their mouth just dropped, like they were frozen. They couldn't move. They couldn't cross the street. They were just frozen. And I looked at them and I said, welcome to Boston. And they both turned to me, and one turned around and said, it's just like the movies. And this other woman said, it doesn't disappoint. And I said, no, it's just like the movies. But it was all this stimulation. And this was midnight on a Sunday night, you know. And so as I sat with all this turmoil that was going on, it really became clear that we cannot rely on external comfort. It's ephemeral, it's insubstantial, it changes moment to moment, it's temporary. And so we have to have something really deep inside us that we can rely on, something that is a deeper refuge, that when everything falls apart, we sit here. And when we can do that, we can keep our seat. In fact, in one practice, it's called the immovable seat. Like when we're really anchored in essence, we're okay, no matter what's going on, like even really difficult, scary things. And so this becomes our refuge. And so I want to talk about essence this month from different perspectives. In some ways, it's a wonderful refuge. In some ways, it's incredible freedom. In other ways, it brings joy and it brings the aliveness of feelings like compassion and, peace of mind, love. And so it's not just one thing. Oftentimes when we first meet essence, a lot of people have a hard time even finding it because it has such a peacefulness to it or a stillness, and it's hard to find that stillness. People are like, I can't find it. What do you mean stillness? And for many people, peace is the first way it shows up. But the more that we play with it, the more that we deepen into it, the more we start to see the nuances of the joy and the love and compassion. All kinds of things start to bubble up, and it becomes quite dynamic and alive. We can really sense its aliveness. So tonight, I want to just talk about some of that refuge part and do a practice with you guys where we just do a short practice of playing with finding the refuge in it. So I'm just going to invite you to go ahead and just go ahead and close your eyes for a moment and get comfortable. If you want to lay down again, you can. That's no problem. And we already looked at one corner, which was allowing, simply allowing what is. And when we allow, we make space to not get entangled with pain or entangled with fear or entangled with stories. But in this exercise, I want to come at it from a slightly different angle. And so I just want to invite you to just take a couple of breaths and just kind of breathe out my speaking, stories, talking. And I'm just going to invite you to arrive here, just here. And I'm not asking you to think about here, but more just notice here. Here in this space. And by space, I mean literally just sensing space, not the space of the whole room, not like, oh, the room and the universe, but the idea of space, just space, quiet space. We can also come here to this moment, just this moment. And what that means is don't go to the future. Don't think about the future. Don't think about the past. Just here. And just let go of that temptation to go into the future or the past. It's like being in a moment where nothing is happening. Nothing has happened yet. And just see if you can let yourself relax in this moment where nothing has happened yet. What if you could just relax here? I mean, we can go into the future in a moment, we can go to the past in a moment, but for just now, just staying with here, just staying with now, just now. And letting yourself relax a little, maybe letting your guard down a little, because nothing's happening. Another way to notice it is just this, not anywhere else or any other time. Or going into a story. Just this space. This peace. This quiet. And again, letting yourself just rest here. Letting your guard down just ever so slightly. And just being with quiet or peace or the space. And when we're just here, the world can swirl around outside us. It's like being in the eye of a hurricane. In the eye of a hurricane, it's sunny and still, peaceful. And all that noise, all that stuff is swirling outside. But in the center, it's very peaceful, very still. And so you can just rest here and let all the noise go around you, but you don't have to jump on the merry-go-round. You don't have to jump on the ride. Noise is happening. Sensations are happening. There may even be pain, but you're just right here in the moment before the pain, in the quiet that sees the pain, but you're resting in the quiet. This is a place where we allow the stories to stop. It's like the stories are over there, and we're just here in this quiet, peaceful place, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past. And noticing how restful it is when we don't think about the future and we don't think about the past. And we just stay here, right here, in this moment. Before anything happens. And you can come to here anytime you want. Just in this place before thinking, before opinions and stories. Just this breath. Not knowing anything about it, just taking a breath. And relaxing. Perhaps even resting in the breath. And then as you're here, just taking a moment to notice a couple of qualities of here. Just so you map it for yourself. Oh, it feels like this. Feels quiet or still. There's silence or rest. There's not knowing or letting go of stress. Just so you recognize, oh, this is what it feels like when I'm just here instead of there. Over there, back there. There has to be in the future or the past. And I'm just here. And so you can just, again, gently open your eyes, let yourself come back to the room. And if you want to hold on to here, not grasping, but just allowing here, not going to the future or the past, not thinking. So this is just another way that we can open the door to our essential nature, the peace that's here underneath all the noise, behind all the noise. If you're familiar with Eckhart Tolle, you've probably heard him say, the now. It's the same thing. For him, it's just now. Just now. Don't go there. Don't go back. Just now. And so we can find this eye of the hurricane just by stilling our mind and letting go of future thinking and past thinking. There's an old teaching about a flood, and this idea that when we're flooded with thought, flooded with noise, flooded with fear. That in a flood, it's said that a drowning man cannot help anyone else, or a drowning woman. And so we want to still ourselves. We want to slow down and stop and not know and just let all the stories go for a moment and just take a refuge right here. Yeah. I had to do that many times over the last few days. And it was quite a refuge to be able to stop all the stories and the what ifs and the yeah buts and other people's stress and just stop. Just come here. Just take refuge right here. Recharge the batteries. Let go of all that fear, stories, other people's fears, whatever might be going on. And come home. It's a way of coming home to ourselves. So I hope that this is of benefit for you. And I would invite you to practice with these two practices this week. Practice with allowing, just allowing whatever's happening, allow. Don't fight with it, allow. Make a gentle space, make more space for it. Just like when we talk about our fear runs through the slot canyon, it feels really drowning. But if we open up to a river valley, same amount of water just goes down. It's like a rice paddy. So just allow. Oh, it's like this? Allow. Terrible meeting at work? It just is. Don't fight with it. Just is. And then take some moments to just be here. You can close your eyes and take a few breaths and just be here. Don't know where the next moment's going. And just rest here for a moment. And then you can jump back on the merry-go-round if you want. Probably get dizzy. But it's good to know how to get off and take a moment of refuge for yourself. And I want to say one thing. These exercises that I'm doing, not all of them will work for you. There'll be some you love, and there'll be some you're like, that just did not work for me at all. And, I just encourage you to stay with it, because maybe we'll find one that you go, now that one works really great for me. That works. I can find that one easily. So that what's beautiful about these practices is that when we do them, we have them available to us when there are stressors. And we sail through these things much easier. I look at the way I handle things now than I did 10, 20 years ago, and it's like night and day. And so I just want you to know that it works. And when you practice it for yourself, you'll get to find your seat and you'll find what works for you. And because life has hard parts. We're all going to get older. Illness, old age, sickness, death, stress comes. It comes for everyone. And so having a practice that really can hold your seat is quite beautiful. Someplace where you can take refuge. And we still do the release work too. If I hadn't done so much release, I wouldn't have as much essence available to me, because the stressors we carry, our old fears, our old formations, those are the things that block the warmth of essence. It's like they describe it often as like essence is the sun, and all of our formations are like clouds in front of it. So the more you release, the more warmth is just coming through on its own. It's just there, which is really quite beautiful. So I'll be here for a while. So I'm going to go find a bell, see if I can borrow a bell from somebody, and we'll just kind of make this work, on the road. So what is it? Essence on the road. So yeah, but anyway, so let's go ahead and take a moment just for a mindful intention, just to share, our wish that this work spreads for more people get to have it. So you can just close your eyes for a moment. Hmm. We can just begin with, may all the stressed people on the planet, all the stressed beings on the planet, may they have moments of ease and refuge and peace. And may the practices that we're doing here, may they soften our own hearts and minds and bodies so that we're more relaxed out in the world. And our peace and ease ripples out beyond us to those in our life and those beyond. And may the world come to know these kinds of practices so that all beings can have the refuge of their own essential nature, and that the world can let go of its fears and its pain and rest in its own essential nature. So you can open your eyes. So thank you, everybody. Wonderful to sit with you, and holding you all in my heart. And we'll meet next week. So hope you all are well and doing okay, and take care.